Okay, I'll get cracking then. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a really good time at TechFest and taking a lot in. It really does look a really great program over the next day or so, and I'm really excited to hear about all the great stuff that's happening. And thanks to the CDI for putting on such a great program. And I think it's really exciting times for the career industry. The technology that is being made available to help practitioners deliver services and engage with people in different ways I think it's an incredibly exciting time. So I'm going to spend the next sort of half hour or so talking primarily about careers craft, but also touching on some of the digital transformation work that has been happening in Careers Wales, and hopefully some time for questions. Hopefully, as with all these sessions, nice and informal. If you've got any questions or you want to pose them in the chat, please feel free to do so. And we'll certainly have some time at the end of the presentation to go through that. But I'll start with just sharing my screen. Okay, so Careers Craft. Careers Craft is a project we've been developing in Careers Wales over the past year or so. It's been very topical, very timely as well. It was as a germ of an idea, it came up before lockdown, but obviously with everything that's happened over the last 12 months, it's certainly become very prominent, and it's really sort of helped embed it in terms of its project and its delivery. Boom, I just lost my mouse. Okay, but first I'll just start a little bit about us, a bit about Careers Wales. So for those of you who don't know, Careers Wales, we're the National Career Service for Wales. We're what's known as a wholly owned subsidiary of Welsh Government. Essentially, we're a company that is owned by Welsh Government. We have a national remit, our new vision, Brighter Futures, a new 5-year strategic vision, which is very exciting for us, launches this week or from April the 1st. That will guide us from 2021 to 2026. We offer an all-age bilingual careers guidance and coaching service for the people of Wales. New to Brighter Futures in particular is that we'll be also having a focus in primary schools, as well as running all the way through secondary and into adults, supporting adults as well. So a really exciting time for Wales and the careers industry. In an all-age bilingual national career service for Wales, something I think we can all be really proud of. We have around 650 employees. We're based in schools, colleges, high street offices and premises, and other outreach locations, the length and breadth of Wales. Again, that gives us as a careers industry, as a careers service, a real unique insight and position, I think, for us in the lives of people in Wales, the everyday lives. We're there in school, we're there when you're out shopping. We really sort of we've got a real good sort of reach and penetration within all communities in Wales. And that's really key, really important for us, that we're there and we're visible at the moments that matter throughout people's lives. And like many, but certainly in Careers Wales, this has been really accelerated over the last 12 months. We've been undergoing a major program of digital transformation, programs of webinars. Just last week, we've engaged with 5,000 young people around Wales tuned into our Choose Your Future webinar series. So getting to hear firsthand from employers through video about the types of opportunities and skills of the future. And yes, Caroline, yes, we're members of the CDI too. Just drop that in. But getting really good reach at a time when obviously it's really difficult to get into schools. Our program of webinars has been really successful. I think we have 40 plus different webinars across all different sectors. Priority sectors from Wales, and really good feedback from young people. So experts from the creative industries, from science, from technology, from STEM, from sustainable industries, leisure, tourism, hospitality, all expert presenters in their field engaging with young people over the past few weeks. Our podcast series have been running, and again, that's something we're looking to build on and really sort of develop that. I think in terms of opportunism, we were at the right place around exam results this year, and it got a really fascinating story around really engaging with families and young people in the run-up to exam results last year, and looking forward to doing more of the same this year. told a really unique story, a moment in time, really, about the exam, the whole run up to exam periods, how people were feeling, how young people were feeling, how parents were feeling, and capturing that was a really powerful experience for all of us, I think. From a practitioner perspective, video interviews were a new area that I've now rapidly just become the norm, and our careers advisors with young people and adults are really taken to offering video interviews and doing some really great work and learning new ways of getting that kind of personal, emotional connection with people using video. So doing some really good work embedding that there, and that's been a real steep learning curve for us over, as you can imagine, over the last 12 months. And our practitioners have done a really, really good job in that area. We're developing new web applications and resources all the time on our website. It doesn't stand still for barely a week. If you're not familiar with the Careers Wales website, it's undergone a massive reconstruction. All our content on there is fresh and new and responsive, but some really new, what I think is real sort of sector leading content as well. So we've got an area called My Future, where we've designed content specifically for people with young people with additional learning needs. And that's been done in a real kind of spirit of co-creation, not the kind of traditional way that lots of organizations approach creating websites and content, but actually engaging with the people who are going to be using it. We become a very user-centered, customer-centered service, and our approach to digital development and transformation is really sort of embodies that. And I think probably the key thing I would say here is when we talk about digital, we're not just talking about content and tools and channels and things like that, but it's a cultural reset as well. It's actually talking about designing customer-centered services that are built around the needs of the user, not necessarily around assumptions that we often make. And that's been a big sort of falling down in the past around lots of sort of public sector and all websites really. But we're very much about co-creation, collaboration with our users and customers when we're developing services, and we don't stand still. We don't stop. Everything keeps building all the time, improving, new iterations, new content being developed in Wales all the time, and making sure obviously our unique perspective around providing bilingual services is something that I think is really exciting for us as well. Our social media, we've been doing a lot of engagement over the past 12 months. Our social media engagement rates have just gone through the roof over the past year. Something we really have to kind of keep going and building on that momentum, but reaching new audiences as well. Not always customers. We do reach a lot of customers, particularly through Facebook, but through things like Twitter, making sure the kind of career sector and stakeholders and stuff really understand the Careers Wales and the importance of career services at this time. So it's given us opportunities to engage with new audiences, parents in particular. We've had really good take up on Facebook. We've developed new homeschooling resources, so obviously to support young people at home and developing those resources, but being able to really target parents on social media and getting them engaged in the work that we do, and obviously providing them with the support at home to engage with their young people and get them thinking about careers, guidance, and thinking about their futures. So yeah, lots of really good practice. We're developing a new CRM at the moment, so a new customer relationship management system. Now that is very much, for those of you who aren't aware, that is very much what you would call the kind of heartbeat, the data heartbeat, the central customer records. So that's going to provide us with lots of opportunities to now start thinking about things like mapping customer journeys. So what happens when someone clicks on a social media post or a web chat, and how do they come into the Careers Wales service? And obviously the most important thing then is what is the outcome going to be for that customer, and how can we as Careers Wales track that and learn from that and keep developing our services based on the experiences of our customers. So very much at the heart of that, it's a huge project that we're going through at the moment, but will provide us with really good opportunities for things like longitudinal tracking as we sort of launch our new vision. So yeah, really good, really exciting stuff that's happening in Careers Wales. And yeah, if anyone wants to come and join us, come along. You know where we are. And Wales is actually sunny today, Carolyn, isn't it? So yeah, it's beautiful in the sunshine. So I just touched on Brighter Futures. So Brighter Futures is our strategic vision, and within there's a heavy emphasis on digital. Digital is one of the big key themes that runs through our new strategic vision. There are others around accessibility and making sure people aren't left behind. But the theme of this talk today is digital. So just talking on some of the key strategic themes around our digital journey and transformation over the next few years. So personalization is going to be a very big area for us. Those of us who become more and more familiar with platforms like Amazon will know the importance of relevant, timely engagement and messaging to prompt an action from a customer. So we're looking at that kind of approach to sit and thinking, how does that apply to careers guidance and information and encouraging people to engage with our services? So we know that the web now allows a more sort of personalized approach. So we're looking at how can we move on from a one size fits all to a real personalized experience for our customers. So that's a big area for us, looking at how that can be driven by AI and automation. I'll come on to gamification shortly, but that's obviously a big theme, a big area for us, some trends that are emerging around designing digital services using a lot of the learning from game technology, and how can we apply some of that into our digital services and digital offer. Common message we hear is that we're sort of data rich but insight poor. So we gather huge amounts of data. As I said, having the insight and the positions that we do in Wales gives us a huge amount of access. But how we sort of turn that data into insight and that can inform service delivery, I think is an area of huge opportunity, not just for us, but across the careers and education sectors in particular. But how we can use that to create visualizations and mapping and drive sort of policy development and service design, not just from Careers Wales perspective, but across the whole Welsh public sector landscape. We're very rich in data and insight about the aspirations of young people, but how do we get that into a policy platform and get people engaging in that? And as I touched on then, the AI, our customer experience is really important to us, and we'll be looking at how we can use AI and chatbot technology and things like that to create a better and more efficient service for customers, employees. And it's really important. The key message for us and for Careers Wales staff as well is that we're not talking about either or here. This isn't a scenario where we can ever imagine technology or robots taking over that kind of guidance profession. This is how can we get all this technology interacting with our all important human connections as well to provide a really good joined up experience for people when they're interacting with our services. And that's a key sort of feature in our journey. So I'll move on to talk about CareersCraft now. So the story of CareerCraft first came about in October 2019 when Welsh Government announced that it was making Minecraft Education Edition available to all learners in Wales. So Minecraft, the Minecraft game, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is it's a game like no other, really. It's an open platform. There are no levels to complete or challenges. It's very much about the player having their own sort of personal journey of discovery, exploration. It's all about creativity. It's a unique game, but actually it's the most popular game in the world. And it was purchased by Microsoft, who then developed sort of different editions. And they quickly recognized that Minecraft has a particular a large amount of potential as an education tool. So they developed an education edition, and Welsh Government were very proactive and forward-thinking in making that available to all schools in Wales. At the time, as I touched on the last slide, Careers Wales as a company, we were looking at how can we start engaging learners in careers education at a younger age. And we were looking at different ways of exploring gamification and looking at ideas around the kind of career city and that kind of journey in and out of different industries. So it was very much a kind of in our mind, how are we going to sort of develop a kind of gaming, engaging resource for young people that links sort of careers education with schools and learners at home. So it was very much in our thinking. And then Minecraft came along, and it just seemed like a perfect match. It was, well, there seems to be a huge amount of potential here. So as I said, as with all our sort of digital journeys, our digital applications, we start with user research, and some of the key insights we found was the most popular games with 9 to 13-year-olds, which were going to be our target audience for gaming, were Fortnite and Minecraft. For those of you who don't know, Fortnite is very different than Minecraft, but there are some similarities. It's not surprising when you start breaking these games down that a lot of them are around kind of problem solving, discovery, exploration, and there's some common themes, I think, in the games that appeal to young people at that age, where it's not too prescriptive. They can engage also with their friends, create teams, and for those of you who had to put up with children at home shouting down microphones and headsets and things like that, it'll be all too familiar. But I think when you ask why those two games are the most popular, it keeps coming back to that freedom, that creativity, the ability to play with their friends, and some real sort of parallels there. We spoke to the schools in Wales about Minecraft and Minecraft Education Edition. So they were aware of it. It was developing, but they weren't really sure how to use it. There weren't a lot of resources available at the time. But the one thing, for those of you who developed any resources and engage with teachers, teachers don't consistently say they don't want a finished product. They don't want a lesson plan, a careers lesson plan that's just sort of put on their lap and told, right, go and deliver that, say this, do this. They like to have an outline, but the ability to shape it themselves and put their own personal touch, which is, I can imagine, is completely understandable. But it's a good lesson for us in terms of developing resources. Don't always worry about the finished product, but provide them with enough of a framework to be able to integrate resources into their lessons. Another interesting area was Microsoft were pioneering the rollout of Minecraft Education Edition by developing schools of excellence around Wales. So again, that instantly gave us a network of schools in primary and secondary that we could start engaging with and trying to figure out how we were going to turn our idea, our scribbles, our notes on a page into something real and meaningful. So it was really helpful that we had that resource. So CareersCraft is about, the vision for CareersCraft really is to broaden the horizons of young people aged 10 to 13 by engaging them in a series of career-related tasks and activities, linking jobs, skills, and the curriculum, the new curriculum for Wales, that is, to Welsh landmarks and heritage. So that was our vision. From our user research, that's what we came up with as our starting point, and that really led then, from that led the CareersCraft journey and development. So the actual world we've created, it's designed around 6 key landmarks in Wales. I'll show you a video and talk you through that shortly. Each one of those landmarks is linked directly to an area of learning in the curriculum. So the curriculum for Wales is, again, a really exciting piece of legislation coming in September 22, but it's being rolled out in phases at the moment. But learning in Wales is now designed around 6 key areas: science and technology, creative, maths and numeracy, literacy, language and communications, well-being, and humanities. Now, those 6 areas of learning in CareersCraft are now linked to a famous landmark in Wales. We then worked with a company called Blockworks and created scaled replicas of the landmarks. And each one took sort of several months of research and build and a little bit of pain to recreate. But what we've done is create them on a 1-to-1 scale. And the results are really, really impressive. So I'll just run you through a few of these, and then I'll just show you a short video. So we've got the Senedd, which is linked to languages and literacy. We've got, going back to that spirit of sort of self-discovery and exploration, we've got this kind of museum of me. This is almost a blank canvas for young people to go in and explore and talk and build their own creations and ideas. Ask some questions along the way, but this is an area for them to design and really personalize as they're playing the game. We've got the Cardiff Coal Exchange, which is the place where the first £1 million cheque was signed. So again, a little bit of Welsh history there for young people. The Millennium Centre, which many of you who've been to Cardiff Bay will be familiar with. So that's the National Theatre for Wales. Just a shot of inside there, you start to get an idea of the scale of the build and the detail and the wow factor that's gone into this. So I'm just going to jump out of here a second and show you a video that really gives you a kind of oversight of Careers Craft. So just to talk then a little bit about what's actually in the game. So within each of those landmarks are a series of activities and characters for the young people to interact with and complete, and there are worksheets accompanying those. So a good example for humanities, where within the Welsh curriculum they talk about thinking about the jobs of the future and jobs of the past and how careers have changed. So within Carnarvon Castle, there are a series, I think there's 12 different characters in there, all of whom have got a role, a profession from medieval times. And the task, the activity for the young people is to think whether those roles still exist today, or if they've changed, are there equivalent roles today. So for instance, we've got blacksmiths, we've got carpenters, we've got chefs, we've got physicians, we've got knights, we've got messengers. So it's to think about those roles of the past and medieval times, and try and draw those parallels to today and how those roles have developed, how has technology changed those roles and shaped them in the future, and to think about how those jobs could continue to evolve in the future. So they're engaging within the landmark. They're engaging with some really sort of good, exciting curriculum based activities with for the creative sector in the Millennium Centre. They explore within the Millennium Centre itself. Again, the scale of the building. Hopefully that's come across. But within the Millennium Centre, so they travel around the Millennium. They have to discover 6 different characters. Again, who've all got different professions from the creative sector. So there's script writers, but there are costume designers, set builders, marketeers, as well as actors, producers. And again, the challenge is for them to kind of think. Sequence all those different roles into a production. So imagine they were putting on a production and talk about all the different roles and the different skills that are involved in these careers. So to put on a stage show, which is the task at the end, to design a set, what are all the different roles from the people they've encountered, and how do they fit into creating a production? That's literacy and language. That's in the Senedd. So the Senedd is the Welsh Parliament, and in there are there's a sort of challenge for the young people to put together a CV to become Wales's first minister for Minecraft. So they have to engage with different characters around the Senedd who will talk to them and say things like, we if you'd like to be the new minister for Minecraft, we want someone who's a good communicator. Can you think of a time when you've been a good communicator? Can you think of a time when you've solved a problem? Can you think of a time when you've had to present and speak in front of people? So it's getting them to think about the skills and things that they're learning and how they could potentially apply to a job in the future. So it's done in an engaging way, and like I said, we're getting really good responses from the schools who've been piloting this. The other big challenge for us, which was to launch this in a socially distanced way in December. So obviously we would have loved to have gone into schools and done presentations and talks and etc., but just weren't able to do that. So we came up with a concept of hiring a van with a big screen, as you can see there, with Tenby in the background. And we took that around a number of these Minecraft leading pioneer schools. So the young people could play it out in the playground, nice and safe in a socially distanced way, but on having the fun really of seeing it all on the big screen. And that was a really sort of powerful experience for us, and really for all the however Careers Craft develops in the future, to see the reactions of the young people when they saw it and started playing it will I think stick with all of us for a very, very long time. So I'm going to show you a video from our launch. We're here today to launch Careers Craft, an exciting new innovative resource for children in primary schools and secondary schools, using the Minecraft Education platform to engage young people in careers, to broaden their horizons, raise their aspirations, and get them thinking about the jobs of the future. It's been great to see the teachers and the children all enjoying playing it. We know how popular Minecraft is at home and how engrossing and how engaging the game it is with children. But it's great to see it being used in the classroom as well as a really valuable education resource, and what I think has a huge amount of potential.
The children have absolutely loved it. The reactions, the seeing not only different landscapes in Wales, but to see those on the large screen has been fantastic. It's really given them an insight into some of the different career paths they can follow around Wales. And the fact that that's been done in Minecraft has been even more engaging.
Minecraft Education has set up landmarks in Wales, so we can go around and see about different jobs.
We've loved going on the Minecraft, looking around all the different places. I've really enjoyed playing on Minecraft with my friends, going around the world and seeing what jobs are available for us in Wales when we're older.
Projects like this are invaluable really for the children. As a youngster, I wasn't really aware of different careers that you could have until I got to a comprehensive. So to introduce them to primary school children through the medium of Minecraft is brilliant really, and it'll certainly engage them and help them to think about what careers they may want to do in the future.
So yeah, like I said, obviously it was Wales, so it was raining, but we got through it in the end. And like I said, the reaction from the children, but also from the teachers as well, was really kind of hammered home. It was just so fantastic to see, them, just the smiles on their faces and engaging in it, and yeah, it was really made it all worthwhile. Sorry, I've just lost my mouse a moment. There we go. Okay. So next steps for us. Interesting. Catherine says, "I want to go." So how do we make it? More accessible? So we'll shortly be launching a new version for all Minecraft users. So at the moment, the game is restrained slightly because it's only available on Minecraft Education Edition through the Welsh Government hub logins. So what we've decided to do is to make it available on the whole Minecraft platform. So we're just running through some final checks and approvals from Microsoft, who have to sort of sign all this stuff off, understandably. So we're hoping that approval process will probably be done in the next month or so, and that will enable Careers Craft to be available globally. So we can put that on the Minecraft global platform and look to develop it even further that way. As many of you will know, that the skills, the activities, many of the stuff that we're doing here is bespoke Wales, but it's applicable for users all around the world. So really excited about that and the potential that will have to take it almost outside of the classroom. So that new version, yeah, like I said, hopefully, certainly by the summer, we'll be expecting that to be live, and we'll obviously be communicating that widely across the careers landscape once we've got that finalised. We're looking at new landmarks. One of the most difficult things was trying to pick 6 in Wales, and trying to sort of whittle that down and get a good balance of north, east, south, and west. For those of you who know your Welsh geography and politics, it's always a sensitive matter. So we know that we're going to be developing some more landmarks. Great point in the AM, funded from the Welsh Tourist Board. We've been in touch with people like Cadw, who are sort of responsible for historic monuments in Wales, and seeing how we can build on those partnerships across the different Welsh public sectors. So how can we build more about heritage careers to go with themed campaign weeks? Agriculture was an interesting one. One of the schools we visited was in mid Wales, and the young people there have obviously got much more day-to-day contact with the agricultural sector, perhaps than in those of us based in the south and the southeast around the city. So young people actually asking, can we introduce some agriculture into here? We've got the potential to do some work around sustainable industries. So it's kind of working on that. So getting people thinking about green technology, sustainable technology. We've got the Royal Mint in Wales, so there's another area there for us to explore, possibly around maths and numeracy. So, like I said, the potential to grow all the time is every time we look at it, every time we think about it, it's a really kind of what's the word? The potential is huge. It's really as big as we want to make it. We're also looking at a new area, and this is slightly more complicated, but at the moment we've got characters linked to careers throughout all the different landmarks. But we've been exploring the idea of developing bespoke characters within the game, linked to kind of famous role models from Welsh culture and heritage. Betty Campbell, the character at the top, was the first black head teacher in Wales, and we're looking at can we use Betty as a role model character so people can learn more about not just Betty's life, but the work she did in promoting things like Black history and Black education weeks and months in schools in Wales. Tanni Grey-Thompson, our greatest Olympian, again, a really inspiring role model. And at the bottom, I'm not sure she might approve it, but that is a first attempt at Dame Shirley Bassey, again from Tiger Bay, Cardiff, and someone who we could bring into the Millennium Centre as a character there. So we're looking at the potential to use these kind of characters from Welsh history and from more recent history as well, to get young people looking at role models and discovering more about their backgrounds and hopefully drawing those connections and becoming inspired by people who've had come from similar backgrounds. And the final slide for me, I say next steps. I think I should have said lessons learned, really. We wouldn't have got anywhere on this without school and teacher engagement. So if you're looking at developing resources, get in at a very, very early stage in with schools and teachers to get their insight is key. Go where the eyes are. This applies to anything around communications and digital. It's very instinctive sometimes to want to go off and build your own product. But actually, if you look around and do your research at the outset, developing something on Minecraft rather than trying to develop our own game, feels like an obvious thing now. But in the past, we would have been more minded to go and develop our own products. And then I think for me, it's that kind of message about going where the eyes are. Look at what's popular and see if that's something that you can adapt. Innovation's great and creativity and new ideas, but it has to be rooted in the purpose. And for us, the natural links in with the new curriculum for Wales, our own strategic ambitions to engage with people at a much younger age and primary school as well. Having those kind of strategic links to your innovation is really important, particularly when you're looking and seeking resource and investment. Probably the last bit is probably just summed up in the last video I showed you is just make it fun, because that's how children learn, that's how they want to learn. And I think we all have a duty if we're trying to engage with young people to make it fun and interesting for them. So I think the last message is probably the most important. And like I said, the one thing that'll stay with me, however this project develops in the future, will be the look on the children and the teachers' faces when we sort of rolled up at those schools with it on the side of the van. So yeah, that's all from me. And happy to have any questions in the chat or yeah. Okay. Yeah, happy to have any questions or any thoughts or feedback either here or you'll have my details and can pick something up outside of the session. So just to touch on Caroline's point, yeah, we are looking at STEM. So there's a science and tech. I didn't show it on here, but there's a science and tech landmark, which is Big Pit. So that's the National Mining Museum of Wales. And in there, the young people dig down underground and they mine through various different elements, and then they arrive in an underground, almost like a sort of James Bond-esque bunker, and it's within there's different characters they interact with who are linked to kind of STEM industry role models. Wider across Careers Wales, we've just run our first sort of series of webinars, digital themed webinars, and one of the things we've done in particular for that is some targeted marketing towards women and girls. So we know, as all you will do as well, you know, around the shortages of that. So we're doing some work on that as well, wider across Careers Wales. Thanks for all the feedback. It's lovely to hear. I'm happy as my email address is on there. If people want to touch or have some ideas or thoughts or think about different landmarks or sectors that could be incorporated into this, really happy and we'll welcome hearing your thoughts and ideas as well. Okay, so I think we'll draw that to a close now. So yeah, thank you very much for joining and have a great rest of TechFest. Thank you, everyone.